Abraham.
Here.
We have all 7 of the council and mayor.
Here.
All right.
Thank you. Please rise and join us in the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
I'd like to welcome everyone here for our council meeting tonight. And with that, we do have, the first item is approval of the agenda. We do not have any corrections or additions or changes to it, so look for a motion to approve as presented.
Motion to approve as presented.
Motion by Brent Svenby to approve. Do we have a second?
Second.
Second by Dave Burbank. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? This has been approved. We now move down to 1.3 as a public hearing for 2015 sidewalk project, and this will go to Chris.
Thank you, Les. This is projects that were completed in 2015, repair of sidewalks. You have the list of properties that were repaired and what was completed. And this is where we hear if we have anyone objecting to the assessments.
Thank you. And with that, at 7:01, we will open a public hearing. And if there's anyone in the audience that wishes to speak on this issue, please come to the microphone and we will ask you to state your name and address and what your issue is.
Jawasek, already signed in. Still at 646 East Vine. A couple of comments, questions, well, mostly comments, and I've had conversations oftentimes with Troy about our sidewalk policy. And this is no opinion here. I don't know if what we've got written for sidewalks, where we need them and where we don't. But my opinion is with existing sidewalks along streets, other than downtown, we only need them on one side of the street to repair them. And I remember several years ago where we had, I believe it's Main Street, before it hooks down at the J.C. Park. I never did count, but I noticed probably half of the sidewalk sections were replaced on this little narrow street. And I'm thinking, probably should have just taken it out of one side and just repaired what was necessary on the other side. The other thing I'm looking at here is the City Council has provided anyone 65 years of age or older may ask for receive deferment of a special assessment. My question is, does the general public know about this? And if not, then maybe this is something we should be sending out when we send out the special assessment for sidewalk repairs.
To answer your question to both of those, Roger, is that notification is sent out to the property owners, and if we take out a sidewalk, we can't just take out sections, we've got to take the whole thing.
Well, okay.
There's a lot more cost involved than replacing small sections.
It's a one-time cost, and then down the road, you don't have anything left.
I understand, but that's what the policy is.
We've got these orphan sections of sidewalk in Owatonna yet that we do the major street repairs. I'm thinking we should tear those out of there and get rid of them. I know up in Grandview and right around the corner from me, we've got part of a section that goes nowhere and not needed, but...
Yes.
And we do have a mechanism for Petition to remove sidewalk, which we have used fairly recently, where if you get 75% of the property owners will remove it.
Up on Grandview or some one of those areas.
Yeah, Grandview had a little short section.
They removed some.
Yeah. And they had it up at the paper several years, quite a few years ago, and they were talking about that too. Okay.
Anyone else wish to speak? Seeing none, we'll look for a motion to close the public hearing.
So moved.
Motion by Nate.
Second.
Dotson to approve. Second by Greg Schultz. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Now it's the council's turn to ask any questions on this. What is the council's wishes on this?
Motion to approve.
Motion by Jeff Holkenberg to approve the sidewalk assessments. Do we have a second to that?
Second.
Second by Nate Dotson. Any further discussion there? Seeing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? This has been approved to proceed with. And now we move on down to, we have nothing with the mayor today. So move on to the financial report. Now I'll ask Council Member Schultz to read the financial report.
Total expenditures presented for approval tonight are as follows. Checks over $20,000 are $166,854 to G Asphalt Systems for the 2016 Airport Seal Coat Project, $125,447 to Heselton Construction for the Industrial Park Stormwater Pond, $24,890 to Minnesota Mechanical Solutions to install a new aeration piping in the wastewater treatment plant, $164,223 to the Owatonna Fire Relief Association. This is a pass-through of the fire state aid funds. $33,650 to Swenke IMS Contracting to repair sanitary sewer lines. $43,811 to WW Blacktopping Inc. for hot mix. Other expenditures of $276,767 make total presented for approval tonight of $758,182.31.
Thank you, Greg. You've all heard the report. Any questions or comments?
Motion to pay the bills.
We have a motion by Kevin Rainey to pay the bills. Do we have a second to that?
Second.
Second by Nate Dodson. Any further discussion on any of them? Seeing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? These have been approved. The next item on the agenda is consent agenda items, which are minutes of meetings, license permit requests, department reports, etc., grouped into one motion. And what is the council's wishes on this?
Motion to approve the consent agenda.
We have a motion by Dave Burbank to approve the consent agenda items. Do we have a second?
Second.
Second by Brent Svenby. Any further discussion on any of those? Seeing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? These have been approved. We move now down to action items, and we will start with 3.1.1, the second reading proposed ordinance 1016 to amend Chapter 113, the alcohol and beverage to authorize license for tap room and brew pubs. And this we go to Mark.
Thank you. The only substantive changes in this version from the previous one that you approved is that the provisions for Sunday sales for both brew pubs and brewery tap rooms is authorized if the licensee gets a Sunday license for that purpose. The other thing that you may recall is that these ordinances also allow for a certain off-sale aspect to the on-sale license, which is something new in Minnesota law, so that the holder of a brew pub on-sale license or the holder of a brewer tap room license will be able to make off-sales on Sundays, or make off-sales and together with off-sales on Sundays if they have a Sunday license. At the next meeting, I'm going to bring you a proposed fee schedule for these that pretty much mirrors the situation we have with the existing on-sale and off-sale licenses, so that if an entity already has an on-sale license, it would not pay any more to also act as a brew pub. But if it were simply a brew pub, then it would have a license fee. Same provision with respect to on-sale licenses on Sundays.
Thank you. Thank you. Any questions from the council? What is the council's wishes?
Motion to approve.
We have a motion by Greg Schultz to approve. Do we have a second?
Second.
Second by Nate Dodson. Any further discussion on this? Seeing none, this being an ordinance, ask for a roll call.
Councilmember Rainey.
Aye.
Svenby.
Aye.
Dodson.
Aye.
Oakberg.
Aye.
Schultz.
Aye.
Burbank.
Aye.
Abraham.
Aye. This has been approved, and this is a second reading, so this is now in effect the law. Correct?
Published. Has to be published.
Has to be published.
Published, yes. Okay, moving down to 3.1.2, second reading of proposed ordinance 12-16 to amend section 157-002B, animal shelter. And we're now to Troy.
Last week, or at the last meeting, we had the first reading of the animal shelter ordinance. The ordinance defines what animal shelter is. It includes the number of animals as well as a 1,000-foot setback from residentially zoned property. We had proposed to make it a conditional use in the I-1 light industrial district and then a permitted use in the I-2 heavy industrial district. At the last council meeting, we had much discussion about that being permitted in the I-2 district, whether that should be permitted or conditional use. We seem to have concerns on the screening for the outdoor run areas, and it was decided that we include that in the definition, which we have proposed in the second reading here, that all outdoor exercise runs are permitted, provided they are enclosed on all sides by a site obscuring fence or wall at least 6 feet in height. And then we did notify the neighbors within 350 feet of the property that the Humane Society is looking to purchase next to the dog park on State Avenue there. So we did notify the neighbors of the proposed ordinance, and staff would recommend approval of the proposed ordinance change.
Thank you, Troy. Any questions from the council?
The only thing I would ask is, anybody here to speak about this specifically in opposition? No? Okay. I'll make a motion to approve.
Second. Okay, we have a motion by Nate Dodson to approve. Do we have a second? Second by Kevin Rainey. Any further discussion on this? Seeing none, again, this be the second reading of an ordinance. We have roll call.
Councilmember Rainey.
Aye.
Svenby.
Aye.
Dotson.
Aye.
Hochberg.
Aye.
Schultz.
Aye.
Burbank.
Aye.
Abraham.
Aye.
All 7 ayes.
Very good, thank you. And this has now been approved, subject to being published, being in the a law. Moving down to 3.2.1, Resolution 94-16, appoint election judges for 2016 general election on November 8th, 2016. And now we go to Chris.
Thank you, Les. General election will be held on Tuesday, November 8th. Polls will be open from 7 to 8 p.m. The Secretary of State requires that we appoint election judges. That's what this resolution will do. We have election judges in 10 polling sites. It also authorizes assignment of election judge substitutes if needed. The statute requires that we have a minimum of 4 election judges at each polling site. We are anticipating a heavy turnout, so Jeanette has scheduled 6 to 7 judges per site so that we have some timely service. Budget impact, judges work roughly 6 a.m. until after the polls are closed. Head judges earn $11 per hour. Election judges earn $10 an hour. We had $26,500 budgeted in 2016 for wages for the election, and I anticipate that will be our cost for the year, and staff would recommend approval.
Thank you, Chris. Any questions from the council? What is the council's wishes?
Motion to approve.
Okay. We have a motion by Brent Svenby to approve. Do you have a second?
Second.
Second by Jeff Okaberg. Any further discussion on this? Seeing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? This has been approved also. Moving down to Resolution 95-16, adopt assessment for parcel 17-02-320-3203 for Mineral Springs Parkway. And this we go to Chris.
Just Les, I'll have to recuse myself from this. I'm one of the owners of this property.
Thank you, Greg. Okay, Chris?
Thank you. If you will recall, we had a public hearing on this item on September 6th to hear any objections to the proposed assessments. We did receive a letter from Lowell G. Schultz requesting a measurement on the parcel he owns with the Paul Arnfield Trust. It is on a corner lot with the site on Mineral Springs Parkway as a long side of the lot. According to our assessment policy, the assessable footage on the long side of the corner lot is 10 feet for the first 150 feet. So once the staff measured the property, reallocated the footage, we have to revise the assessment, and the amount for this parcel is $24,031.80. That's that 462.15 feet times $52 per foot. So the budget impact, the property owner may choose to make a payment of this assessment as proposed by the resolution or over a 10-year period with interest occurring at 3.5%. Staff would recommend approval.
Thank you, Chris. And Roger, to point out, this is one of those that we also let the people, the owners, know about the deferment on age. So we do use it quite often. So with that, any questions from the council? What is the council's wishes?
Motion to approve.
We have a motion by Dave Burbank to approve. Do we have a second?
Second.
Second by Nate Dodson. Any further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? This has been approved. Moving down to Resolution 96-16 to authorize submission of DNR flood reduction grant, and this will go to
The City of Owatonna currently has a DNR flood reduction grant in the amount of $500,000. These funds cover 100% of the costs of purchasing and removing structures in the floodplain. The need for removing structures in the floodplain does exceed that $500,000. In the DNR currently has approximately $50,000 of unused funds from the program that can be distributed to jurisdictions that currently have open grants. So the city does qualify for these additional funds. As part of the request for additional funds, the city must approve the attached resolution. If the city is awarded the additional funds, it would add approximately $50,000 to our current grant. And again, all the costs associated with acquiring and removing structures would be covered by the grant. So staff would recommend approval of the attached resolution.
Thank you, Troy. Any questions from the council?
Motion to approve.
A motion by Kevin Rainey to approve.
Question. How much is this going to add to our fund? Is it going to give us enough to buy another property, or where are we sitting with this kind of cash?
Yep, we've purchased 2 of them already, and I'm talking to a number of other ones right now. This $50,000 would allow us to do one more.
Thank you.
We do have a motion by Kevin Rainey. Do we have a second?
Second.
Second by Jeff Olkenberg. Any further discussion on this? Seeing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? This has been approved, and buy another house and get it out of the floodplain.
Yep.
Moving on down to 3.5.1, resolution to defer special assessment undeveloped property parcel at 3105 Springs Development Company. And again, we'll go to Chris.
As I say, Les, I'll have to recuse myself again. This is part of the same parcels on Mineral Springs Parkway.
Thank you. Thank you. Chris.
Thank you. Also at the September 6th public hearing on this assessment, we received a request for deferment of the assessment. The city is authorized to allow a property owner to defer paying assessment until a later date for 3 different reasons. 1, being it's undeveloped property. 2, senior citizen or disability deferral. Or 3, green acres. And this is in accordance with our assessment policy. So we have received a request from the property owner, Greg Schultz, to defer the assessment on the parcel. The assessment amount is $20,453.68. So the interest will incur at 3.5% per annum to be paid when the property is developed, and staff would recommend approval.
Thank you, Chris. And what is the council's wishes on this? Or questions on it?
Motion to approve.
We have a motion by Nate Dodson to approve. Do we have a second?
Second.
Second by Brent Svenby. Any further discussion there? Seeing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? This has been approved. And now we move down to 3.5.2, appointment of Steele County Economic Development Authority, EDA, and this, we'll go back to Chris again.
Council approved participating in the Steele County EDA during a June 7th meeting, and the commissioners recently created a Steele County Economic Development Authority. It's going to have 9 members, and they are requesting a member representing the city of Owatonna. Staff would recommend the appointment of Troy Clucker, Community Development Director, to represent the city on this board.
Thank you, Chris. Any questions from the council? What is the council's wishes?
Motion to approve.
We have a motion by Greg Schultz to approve. Do we have a second to that?
Second.
Second by Kevin Rainey. Any further discussion there? Seeing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? This has been approved. Congratulations on another job. Now we move down to public comment, and if anybody in the audience wishes to speak on any item that is not on the agenda, we will allow 2 minutes for you to speak on this. Please come to the microphone and sign in and state what you would like to talk about.
Roger Wasik. I don't know, well, I read my letter to the editor on health insurance costs last meeting, and then I see that last week on the Twin Cities news stations, they had the governor eating crow, stating that the Affordable Care Act is not affordable. Well, thank you for the reminder. I'm going to send a copy of this with the governor and say, read this and heed the caution. And part of why I'm going to send it to the governor also is because you get people saying, we got to go back to the drawing board. Okay, if the drawing board doesn't include the cost drivers for what's fueling our sickness care costs, then we're wasting our time politically. But anyway, thank you.
Thank you, Roger. Anyone else? Seeing none, we'll move on to council comment, and we will start with Kevin Rainey.
Just ask the citizens, especially when they're talking rain in the forecast, if you've got a catch basin near your house, please clean the leaves away from the catch basin. That does help move water through quicker, especially if we get 2, 3, 4 inches of rain. Thank you.
Thank you, Kevin. Brent?
Got nothing this evening.
Okay, thank you. Nate?
I do have one thing. Excuse me. I received a phone call today, so I guess I would caution everybody. I got a call from someone claiming to be from the Department of Homeland Security, talking about home security programs in our area. And so I reiterated, I said, you're from Department of Homeland Security? He said, yes. I said, what's your name? Joe. What's your last name? And they hung up. So I don't know if that's going around the community, if you're getting calls, but it's a scam. So don't give them any information.
Thank you, Nate. Good information. And now we move on to Jeff.
No council comment.
Thank you. Greg?
On the way here tonight, driving here, I saw people out in the yard raking leaves. I saw people playing golf at Brooktree. I saw people walking on the trails in Mineral Springs Park. So all in all, I'd say it's a pretty darn good night in Ward 2.
Thank you. Dave?
Just everybody have a safe Halloween. We don't meet again until after that's done, so we don't want any accidents that night.
Thank you. Tom?
You know, with winter approaching, the daylight hours are getting less and less. And I've had a couple of people mention to me that we have a lot of people walking in the morning, walking in the evening. So it'd be nice if you wear your green reflector vests when you're out walking, just to make sure you're on the safe side.
Thank you. Chris?
Nothing.
Thank you. And for myself, I have nothing either, so we'll look for a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Motion by Kevin Rainey to adjourn. Do you have a second?
Second.
Second by Greg Schultz. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Meeting adjourned. Thank you all for coming.